Sam Wilson here, Sam's Antique Motors and the Resto-Rat. Thought today I would do a little video on getting this door all apart on this 1972 Jimmy. I went back and looked at my own Resto-Rat video to see how to do it, which I did on a 72 Highlander, and it wasn't done very well because most of it, the actual activity was out of the picture. So I backed the camera up a little bit and we're going to walk through how to get this door apart. Hopefully it'll go easy. This is the first one I've tried on this one, so we'll see how it goes. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get these this whole door panel off and get these out. I have this little tool here that goes in and pushes that spring out, and you just got to sort of get it lined up there, and it'll push that little spring. There's a little spring right in here, and this little tool goes in this little slot and pushes that spring out. So it's kind of hard to, maybe even arguably impossible to get them off without damaging the thing without that little tool. So pull that catch off. I'm gonna do the same thing on the window deal. It goes between the handle and the little plastic washer, which was missing on that other one. This one's not coming quite out just as easy as the other one. I think I'm getting in the groove yet. There we go. So that was the same thing. There's supposed to be a little plastic washer. There wasn't one on this back one. And that's where it needs to go, but it's just not quite wanting to slide up in there where it wanted to. Got those two things off. Next thing we're going to do is pull this little door handle off. This should go relatively easy. All right, so head was reasonably jacked up on this thing, but it came off okay. This is an impact driver, so it's spring loaded, so you can put it on or take it off. When you do it like that, when you hit it, it drives it in and turns it. So pretty handy tool to have on occasion. Save the day today. Next thing we're going to do is take this door panel off, and there's a trim screw right here. This is the only screw holding the door on. The rest of these, beyond that, there's some little clips that are stuck into the wood, and that one just popped right out. So I have this tool that will get in there. As on the other video, I'm not too worried about it. Well, looks like all of them are probably broken off except for two of them. It just fell off once I got those two. So, yeah, so these are actually already pulled out of here, but there's this little clip right here that's got serrations on it, and it actually clips into this plastic. These are often broke out of the little deal, but we're not going to reuse this, I don't think, but we'll take care of it anyway. So now we got to pop these things out of here. Yeah, I'm going to get a different tool for that. So we'll move on. A little piece of internal protection. Next thing I want to do is pull this lock cylinder out of here. There's a little clip. I'm not sure exactly how the best way to. There's a little spring clip. Need a flashlight. spring clip up in there. And it's really hard to get a hold of. I think what I've done in the past is actually rotate it down a little bit. Alright, if you take this thing and push it down a little bit, you can get this on there and just pry it out. And this little spring clip just holds that lock cylinder in. And it'll just slide right out of there. So you want to kind of get this lock cylinder out so that we can get this mechanism here out. And get that out. There are 3 screws right here on the back. Sometimes this requires an impact driver as well. This is going to be one of them. Looks like I put this tool up way too soon. Yep, that'll go in there. So once we get those things kind of cracked loose, they'll come out. This one, the head's pretty worn. Makes me wonder if this has been out before. That one's not too bad. I'm going to replace all these probably anyway because they're supposed to be shiny, and these are not very shiny. So we're going to try to replace those. And then usually I think you have to take this, roll this window up, take this channel, you've got to take this window channel out in order to get that mechanism out. So I'm going to go ahead and roll this window up. That should let us come in here, sneak this thing out. We're going to have to cut this loose, and this has a really hard on your fingers. This has a little clip. I'll show it to you when I get it off. It's a little clip that spins down. Dropped in the bottom of the door. So this little clip looks like this. Hope you can see that. So it goes on the rod and then just rotates down to secure the rod to this mechanism. I don't think you can get, oh yeah, you can. Jiggling, this will come off easy enough. So this is it goes like, remember how it goes like this, and so this little deal here goes on this deal like that, and then just clips on there. So on the passenger side it goes down, on the driver's side it goes up. So this mechanism often has a broken spring in there, but the spring looks good. So we'll probably be able to just clean this up and repaint it silver and put it back into play. And I generally like to come in here and put all these screws back in each thing. I like to drop at least one on the floor so I get to bend over and pick it up. A couple of years ago, if you noticed from my last video on this topic to the new one, I went ahead and chopped off 2 fingers. Sometimes it makes picking these things up a little easier. Those other 2 fingers don't get in the way. So, just a helpful tip. So now that we've got that out, we can take this window or the door handle regulator off. Sometimes these screws also were difficult to get out. In fact, I've broken off some of them and then had to drill them out of the regulator. These are supposed to be a little round-headed Phillips with a little serrated washer in them. Okay, so we got those 3 off, and this has this nice little foam washer on it. It keeps that window from rattling. So I'm gonna go back in and put these back in here so I know which ones go where. On this truck we're paying a lot of attention, but I try to do it on any truck, that all these little screws and bolts, and I try to put these back exactly the way they were on an OEM restoration, and with the exact type, the exact washers, and you know, sometimes that little detail makes all the difference. So now that we've got that out, now we can work on getting this vent window out. Here's it, and putting that on temporarily, I actually re-secured it. Notice how I dropped that little spring washer. If you don't do that at least once, then don't consider yourself having done the job correctly. You'll notice in the other video, on the other Highlander, I did the same thing. So you just want to make sure you get that dropped at least once. And you want to make sure that this comes back in from the back side, so that when you go to putting it, when you go to taking it back off, you pull the thing off in the correct way. So we're going to pull this rubber foam off, and then there's a series of screws that have to get broken loose. There's 2 down here that hold the bottom of this vent window track in. And then there's 3 little screws up here, and these are kind of special screws. I think they're available. I haven't broken them off, so I want to be gentle with these. These are a little oval head, looks like about a number 6, 3/8 inch long, so they're really short. And I usually have to get a little stubby screwdriver for the front one. In order to cut those 3 loose, get those 3 loose, then you got one right here that holds the top in, and this goes all the way through. This is a big long screw, so it goes all the way through and kind of sucks this door panel together. So it's got a little, I'm not sure if that's chrome or stainless, but a little washer in there, and then it's a nice big long oval head finish screw. And that should, all right, this little trim cap has to come off also. And so that just, there's two little 1/2 inch by, looks like number 6 screws that go in there. And then this just slides right on there. And it does slide on, it doesn't just come up. So that off. Now we should be able to take this window, get this down, and work this window out of here. You got to pull it up about yay high, and this thing has to rotate in towards you. Yeah, there's that little screw, and can't really see it in the video, but there's just no head whatsoever in there. So I think I'm going to leave that for right now and put some juice on it and see if we can't get that out of there without breaking it off. It's high likelihood that's all rusted in there. It's really a high likelihood that's going to get rusted, that's going to get broken. And so to get these, little weather strips out, there's a little hook that comes down in a groove. And what I do is I take my cotter pin tool and work it in there, and then just pull up. I don't know that there's any way to get these things out of here gently and save them. So when you go to putting these back in, you kind of want to do this once, because it's really going to be impossible to get these off and back on, I think, without bending them and messing them up. But there's this little slotted hook right here. What you're doing is just getting a hook underneath there and lifting it up. And I've not found any of those that are worth the shit going back in. And this one over here, this door is in really good shape. So these little grooves in here are nice and straight. Sometimes they get bent up. And if they do, you kind of need to go in there and straighten them in the door panel. Can't see where this one is coming in. There it is. So same drill, 5 little clips on there. Obviously the roll edge goes to the top. These are completely trashed. Most of the felt's gone, so really need to get that off. And then you should be able to, I think this window, can't remember exactly how this comes out of there. I think it slides off of this track. Oh, well, this one, the glass just lifted out of the control track. This is originally date-coated glass from 1972. So this one has a bunch of scratches on it from those weather strips being bad. So we're probably going to replace this, but it shouldn't just come out of the glass channel like that. We should get this glass channel slid out of there. So I'm going to set this glass aside and then come back and see how would you really get this glass out of here with the channel attached. some of these have a little slot in them, and some of these you rotate the glass up. So I'm just going to have to remember which one this one is. Looks like there's a slot here. We're going to cut this bottom channel. The back of this window goes in it, so when I loosen that up, it allows me to just slide this off of this. So you can see there's a little cutout in this track here and a cutout in this track here, and that lets that go into that window regulator. So so that's how you get that out. This is that track that comes back here. So this mounts to these holes here. This is different, I think, on this than on a big truck. So the best way to do this is, you know, when you go to reassemble this, is put it in the door and then raise it up into position. So I'm going to go ahead and put my screws back in this so I know where they came from. These are those same little Phillips heads with serrated top on them. And this is a fixed washer on a big head that goes up at the top of the door. I took that off kind of when we got started. And this window track is completely toast. So we'll be getting a new one of those. That doesn't really answer the question. You can tell all this setting tape is old and done. So I'm not really sure how you get that window out, other than to say probably what you would do is cut this loose and then allow that to slide forward so you can push the window out, and then take it straight out through the top. That's my best guess. I'll confirm that on the other side. So now this vent window should come up, and since you've rotated it, yeah, you definitely have to get that window glass out. So this is the piece that goes at the bottom. So when you bring this up, you have to rotate it in and then slide it out. And this door is actually a little bit wider right here, which makes it easy to take that out. So this was a standard truck, so it was painted, and all this rubber is really bad shape. It is a date coated window glass. The actual paint on that is actually pretty good. So it actually works pretty good. Might think about just reusing this, see how that cleans up. These are about 400 bucks, and it is really difficult. I've rebuilt now 6 of these, and it's tough to do it. The rivets that hold it together are inside here, so I don't know how they did it from the factory, because the rivets come in here, and you have to drive the rivets from this side with the glass in it. So it's, and this one here, the rivet's down the back, so you got to bend over the rivet, but the rivet is where the window is. So they had to have had some kind of special device to do that. But these are they're about 400 to buy them new. I've never put one of these in the angled new. I put one in a 56 and a 59 new. They did pretty good. And to buy all the stuff to rebuild this is about what they cost new. So it's probably better to just buy another one. And then the last thing here is to pop this window regulator out. And it looks like we're going to have the persuader on this one as well. just right. You will note I'm having to do this all backhanded because for the video purposes. Normally left-handed, but for you guys, I'm doing it right-handed. Crusty, but the spring's in good shape. The gear's not worn. These rollers are actually not bad either. I will say that I've bought some of these for the 72 Highlander and they were reproduction and they were absolutely garbage. So I will definitely rebuild this one. Sometimes you can tighten up that little rivet just a little bit, which is probably worth doing here. And you can buy the roller kits to replace all these rollers. You just drill them out and put in a new roller. So I would definitely rebuild the original one if it's even remotely savable, because the new ones are just garbage. What happens is the new one, this jumps off the track and it's a mess. So I really like this original one. We'll bead blast this and we'll make it as good as new and put new rollers and we'll be good to go. So we just got one more thing to do here, looks like. Okay, and we just got one more thing to do here, and that's to get this little plate here off. So this is a little chrome plate, and this is not scratched up. It's got just a little bit of rust, so I'm going to try just putting a little comment on this and seeing if this will just polish up. If not, we'll send it to the chrome plater. But it's odd that this doesn't have a single scratch on it, so I'm not really sure what this did, if it didn't do something to make a scratch. And here's a little rubber plug down here. Pop out. We'll get a new one of these to put back in there. Oh, we got to get the door handle off. And yeah, there's two 7/16. Pretty sure they're 7/16. I think by count, that's 3 of those things I've dropped on the floor. So, you know, we're just about done. Yeah, 7/16. And they were nice enough to put this little handy cutout in the door. So we got those 2 little nuts, and then this should just separate out. when you go to put this back together, there is a little gasket there, and there's a gasket here. This is all hard rubber and pretty much toast. I have been able to replate these, and I much prefer replating them. This one has a little pit there and a little pit there, but other than that, is in really good shape. In order to replate them, I don't know if you can see this on the video, but you have to take these little bitty tips right here and just straighten these up, and then this whole mechanism will slide out of there. But I think you're going to only get about one time at that before those things break off, and that has to be in there because that's what holds the spring that kicks the knob back. So so this one's got a little pitting on the underside, but when you strip the chrome off of that, that'll come off nice. So these will re-chrome very nicely. So so there you have it. I think the door is pretty much 100% disassembled other than taking off the hinges. And this one actually feels pretty good. It's got a little rust underneath there, but it's solid with no rust up on the front here. So we'll get this all cleaned up, put this weather strip back on, and we'll be good to go. So hope you enjoyed that. And if you got any comments or questions, let me know. If you like the video, please subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for the next segment. By way of epilogue, I took this driver door apart about half the time. Naturally, not a single screw required a persuader, and I changed the order up a little bit. I actually took the door handle and the cylinder out first. That let me get this latching mechanism out without any issue whatsoever. Then I took this out just like the other one. Then I took out the screw that held this, which naturally was easy to do on this one, and I took out the bottom screw down here, and I slid this track that holds the rear window. I rolled the window up and I slid this track out of the door. So I worked it out out through the door hole fairly easily. And what that lets happen is for this window glass here to slide, kind of hard to do it one-handed, but it allows this window glass to slide back and forth. So when I do that, I can slide this window glass back, and then this vent just kind of works out, no problem. Remember, you got to turn it towards you, and then it'll slide up through this little hole. Sorry I didn't get all that on video, but it slides up through that hole, no worries. So I think I'd recommend doing that in a little bit different order. And that means that when it goes time to put this back in, you probably want to put that window in first, then work this window vent back in, and then it should go in fairly smooth. Hope that helps. Okay, one more thing. To get the window out, if you roll the window up to where the sill, the bottom of the regulator is about right here, it'll let you just slide this window forward enough to get the rear wheel of the regulator in there to take the bottom out. Then you can set the wheel right underneath here and then roll the window up pretty high, and it allows that window to just rotate out of that hole, and then you can lift it straight out. So going back in, that's probably the better way to put that in also, is go ahead and put the window regulator in, drop it in, hook that, roll it down. I think you're definitely going to want to put this window in first when it goes back together.
Download the Resto-Rat app today to begin managing, tracking, and documenting your restoration project.